Hello everyone. My original planned recording for this week was a very fun video. It was me doing an IQ test whilst drunk, but the problem was that I was drunk, so I didn't quite realise that my camera wasn't on. So I'm like responding to like all the questions and answering all the questions, and then you can't see the questions, and you can't see the questions. So that video was really bad. But then you may be wondering what my score was, and the thing is, it turned out to be a scam website, and it doesn't give you your score unless you pay for it. So I don't even know. So the new plan is, it's like 4 a.m. right now, 3 a.m. I don't know what time it is. New plan is I recorded this video in like 2020, 2021, ancient times, okay, and it was a very unhinged. I don't know. I sound quite off. I'm not sure what was wrong with me at the time, but it's an unhinged Dragon Ball Z run, and I was looking back at it today because I was like, well, I got to upload something this week, and I was looking back at it, and it was actually pretty good. It was all right. It's a bit unhinged. It's a bit peculiar, but yeah. For this video, I just turned the recording thing on and just started talking out of my brain, and it went places that I didn't even know were there. Enjoy. For most of Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super history, it was Goku on the ropes, Goku power up, Goku win. And the enemies were more and more powerful. And as much as I love Toriyama, that was just bad writing. There's no way to look at it other than bad writing. It's fun for a show, for a spectacle, for a flash, but it's not really meaningful. It doesn't do anything. It's not interesting. It doesn't put the characters in combative situations they need to use their intellect to get out of. It's just bigger number, better person. Dragon Ball Z characters were YouTubers before YouTubers existed. It's fun. I'm not denying it's fun, but I'm denying that it's interesting, like really interesting. It's not groundbreaking or makes you go, whoa, no way. It's just flashy. And then along comes Moro. And Moro is this guy, a goat man, who eats energy. And the brilliant part of this is that Dragon Ball characters are completely powered by energy. They are powered by ki. That's the source of everything. If you took Goku's ability to utilize ki out of him, he'd just be a sort of strong guy. You could probably set some gorillas on him and he'd be killed. And then Moro, instead of being the cliche of more powerful than the last arc's main antagonist, which was Jiren, he isn't more powerful. He's someone who eats ki, and he uses magic. He's a tricky character rather than a god character, and this was extremely interesting. I mean, it starts off the Moro arc really interesting because he beats Goku and Vegeta not by overpowering them with a big ki struggle, but by devouring their ki. And it's a big old shit moment. And it's like, what? You can't do that, but he did. And it's finally using magic a lot as well, which also adds an extra air of trickiness to him that sets him apart from other villains. He's using magic properly. We saw a bit of that from Majin Buu. It was quaint. There's not a lot to it. Turning people into chocolate. And then with Vegeta, you could just overpower being chocolate. It boggles the mind, Dragon Ball, sometimes. But then Moro comes along, and he's this really cool guy because he completely subverts how fights are done. And Goku and Vegeta go on training arcs, and you think, okay, they're going to learn weird skills and think up tactics to circumvent Moro's energy absorption, his magic. What actually happens is that, well, Vegeta does learn, he learns instant transmission and ki fission, so he can, when he punched someone, it depleted their stamina, which was good. That was an interesting ability. But then Vegeta loses, and then Goku comes in, saves the day by unlocking his true power and punching Moro very hard and very fast. And Moro has a transformation that makes him look less cool and less unique. Just looks a bit like if Cell and Frieza had a baby and the baby came out boring. Now we're in the Granola arc. And Granola has some interesting backstory and connections to the Saiyans and Frieza. And it's all well and good, and he uses his wish to become the most powerful fighter in the universe. And I guess the way Goku and Vegeta are going to beat him is by becoming stronger than when Granola made that wish. So they surpass the limits, which I guess does tie into the concept of Dragon Ball, the message of keep pushing forward, keep going, surpass your limits. But it's just a power thing again, really? Why? Why? It's just power up after power up after power up. You've got Super Saiyan, Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. And then in the anime you've got Kaioken Super Saiyan, and then in manga it's like Ascended Super Saiyan, and Super Saiyan God Super... and then it's Ultra Instinct Sign, which is the black hair, then it's Mastered Ultra Instinct, which is the white hair. And I know it's cliche to dig on Dragon Ball for all it's just being flashy and glowy and not that deep, but if you look at the original Dragon Ball series, one of the most interesting aspects is the world and the characters, how they interact, and it's weird and it's wacky and it's got some moments in there that definitely would not be allowed to be aired today, but it was interesting. My argument here is Dragon Ball these days, especially with Dragon Ball Super, it's just ignored all the things that made the original series interesting. And that is the weird world, the weird mechanics, and the characters. And now all Dragon Ball focuses on is the power, the energy output, the power levels, bigger numbers. And in Dragon Ball Z, it was sort of interesting because Raditz comes along and you're like, oh shit, this guy is sick. He's kicking the crap out of Piccolo and Goku at the same time. He's got a scout that says his power number is 10 times bigger. And then you go out and expand into the Saiyan saga, and they've got bigger numbers, and you get to the Frieza saga and you've got bigger numbers. And you could have made it interesting if you, after the Frieza saga, instead of relying on numbers, it came to like a technique based thing, like you've reached near the pinnacle of energy output, but you've only really started to tap in to the martial arts aspect of the universe. And you could have gone so many ways, because at that point in Dragon Ball they just introduced space, really, and Frieza was meant to be the most powerful in the universe, but you could have just said he was full of shit. You could have just said there was a lot of powerful and very great fighters out there, and you could have had Goku I want to go meet them, but then it goes back to Earth, and the characters, the androids, are somehow more powerful than Frieza. And how does that happen? Imagine if Goku didn't go into space and was never attacked by the Saiyans. He would have got absolutely obliterated by the androids, and it just comes out of nowhere. It's so weird. But if you go into space, and it's like in writing, you have to do outward shots. I think that's what, I can't remember what they're called, but you start with focusing on something small, and you focus on something a little bit bigger, and it's outwards and outwards and outwards and outwards. And what Dragon Ball's done, instead of taking that concept of outwards, 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 is done it in the most simple, boring way of power levels, instead of exploration. Because Dragon Ball was exploring the world, and then you have this setup in Dragon Ball Z for exploring space. Frieza was just the tip of the iceberg. He's just the one in many maniacal villains, great martial artists, fighters. You could have done so much. But then no, it goes back to Earth. It goes back to Earth, and then androids, more androids, Cell transforms again. Cell is super powerful, extra, and then he dies. And then Majin Buu's also on Earth, and it's escalating, but it doesn't feel organic. It just feels like it's placed there, that it doesn't matter, it's arbitrary. It doesn't feel like Goku's journey is getting anywhere. It's just things are happening. And Dragon Ball Z, still one of my favourite anime. A lot of boring, drawn-out stuff. Whenever I get the urge to watch Dragon Ball Z anime now, I just watch Dragon Ball Z abridged. Dragon Ball Super sucked ass. Oh god, dear. It made Goku a deity, and then it was like, oh wow, he's near on par with Beerus. They ain't quite there yet. There's some room for growth, and he just keeps growing and growing, flashier. And Beerus doesn't seem anywhere closer in sight. Every time you think, okay, maybe Goku's on his Beerus's level now, it just portrays him as, nope, still below. Like, even with Ultra Instincts mastered now, it's almost like the manga's portraying Beerus, Gods of Destruction, as near equivalent to angels, and they're still above the mortals. Because Vegeta's going the God of Destruction route, Goku's going the angel route and learning abilities, and it sort of seems like an identical thing. It's not like one is necessarily more powerful than the other, it's just different. And it's just, when can Goku beat up Beerus? When? I don't know.